Okay, that's
So anyway, what I want to say was that I discovered now Ellie and I have lots of buddies history.
Yes.
And we have to talk about how I don't know, you discovered me more than I discovered you.
I'm licking you.
So anyway, but I discovered you here, Scott, because
Right
you were
here.
on stage in Rose's play, which is about fish or underwater or something.
Marine life? Yeah.
Marine life. It was something. And I just like, get me that guy. He is my drunken Hamilton guy.
Oh, yeah.
Were you-
And I called you and you said, I don't know whether, I'm not doing very much theater.
Yeah.
And I'm moving, but I'm doing a little bit because you're a musician, you do a lot of that, and you're also an actor. And so you were like, but then thank God you said yes.
Yes,
So I
and
did
I was
start you right there.
and I knew that Ellie was doing it. You said that mentioned that Ellie was going to be
Yes.
a part.
Oh, yes.
And
Ellie
he
got-
jumped at the idea.
No, but you should work together. And Ellie was the same way. Luckily, it wasn't just you. It was that guy. No, she said, oh my God, Scott, I would love to do with them again. Oh, yeah.
I swear, and
Said,
I
I love
didn't
Scott so
say
much. It'd
that.
be perfect to work together. So all of a sudden, I haphazardly by chance, I fell on the idea of the two of you together. And then you guys, when you get, like, it was actually scary the way you guys work together.
Yeah.
Like, I find it difficult sometimes because you get lost in your own world, you get lost in your own characters. And, oh my God, it's like you're having so much fun that I might as well just leave. That's just happening now sometimes. And then, you know, my discovery of Ellie was, because you were both in a gutter before I met you. But no, Ellie was that you remember you discovered my play in high school?
Yeah.
She did a play of
Loves
mine
a Minute
that I
Splendid
wrote
Orange.
at university, and she was in high school, and she did it in high school. That was before we ever met. It was so crazy. And then we worked together at the Shaw Festival. And you were an apprentice, and I was an apprentice. And then I hired you. After I hired you, I went, well, I think that I will take, because I was a little scared of you because you're a big personality. So I was kind of scared. So I'm kind of scared of you. But anyway, not now. Now I'm fine. Now we're friends.
I'm scared of you.
all the time. No, that's the thing. So anyway, that was talking a little bit about buddies. But then when it comes to Naked Hamilton, yeah, we went to Hamilton and we did it there. That's where it all started.
Yeah.
Because I lived there. And we did it at the Artwood Art Bar. And that was a couple of years ago. And it was really, really fun doing the bar. It really, like, people were like, what the hell is going on?
Well, what's funny about it, I was thinking about this on the way over here, and I was thinking that one of the things I know that appealed, because you sent me the play, I read it right away, and I loved it, and wrote you right back, I said, I want to do this. Was doing it in a bar in that kind of intimate thing where you're literally, we did a play right in front of the audience is sitting right there. They're at the bar. They're patrons of the bar. Ellie did touch them as a matter of fact.
I
And
did
you
it
flirted, you did it,
Flirted.
I sat in their lap, I kissed their bald heads, I grabbed their basket.
It's like, honey, you're a client. You want to be a client?
And I was thinking on the way over here was that was such a big appeal to me, and that the other part of it too is that this, and I know you've been doing shows in Hamilton prior to this, living there for.
Well, I've been living there
15
for 10 years. I'm trying to remember, but
The
the shows were about
told
7.
me, you said that you were now in a place where, at least with this especially, you wanted to make theater that was about the people that watched it.
Yes, very much.
I think those were your
And that was what was so freaky, right? Was that people would come up after the show in Hamilton, they would go, oh my God, those people, I know.
Yeah, that's
they
it,
live
that's
down
it.
the block from me, I see them. And then we would ride home, because you always give me a drive around the corner of my house in Hamilton. And we would drive past the bar where we ended up shooting.
Yeah.
Well, we ended up shooting Exterior.
right.
The
Corner
wet
shot.
spot.
Red spot.
A corner
Right,
pocket.
wet spot.
Wasn't it
Because there's something about it. I think
The corner
shot. Corner shot, I think. But whatever.
Shot.
And we would drive by it, and then we would see Tom and T
We got
sitting
fodder.
outside of the bar. Like we go,
Fodder
"Oh, there's
for
Tom and
days.
T."
I went, look
We
at
gotta
her.
slow down the car. We'd see them
Trying to put
there.
on her brand new running shoes and falling over, and he was already on the ground, trying to help her, lighting her cigarette, but he'd fallen down and couldn't get up, and she fell down.
And the corner shot has signs like, it's in our movie, it is stuff like lambs, no. Something sounds a little bit sexual.
Sangria.
Eat 'em raw!
Eat 'em
Eat 'em raw! That sounds pretty sexual to me. But
Yeah, it's a neat thing about doing the kind of theater and a show about people that literally you step out of the theater and they're
There they are.
right there.
And I think a lot of people in Hamilton weren't used to seeing people from Hamilton in a play. Obviously not, because they might go to other theaters which will not be mentioned, and they'll see Sherlock Holmes, or they'll see Green Gables, who we have here today. But anyway, no, but they would see characters like that, but not like people around them, you know. And as I always say, I'm a middle class guy, but I moved into a working class town, and it's very interesting to kind of be there and to be and to be around people who are not the class I was brought up in, to kind of, and of course, the writer observer. So I'm writing stuff like that. I write about those people.
And it's about the gentrification of Hamilton.
Absolutely.
And that's a key factor to say, politically getting involved in that, kind of the guts of it, like this is who owns this part of Hamilton, and you're just like you're trying to.
Yeah, that's it. It's just gonna be a bit of a problem when the people who actually live there. I mean, to me, the situation is when they actually start kicking people out of neighborhoods who are people who are maybe on drugs, or they may be poor or whatever, and whatever their issue is, or their hookers or whatever, and they start being kicked out of neighborhoods. Like, I think it's great if people want to open up fabulous businesses and art, of course, art is wonderful to have there, but they have to be very careful. They have to figure out some way to coexist, you know what I mean? And
that's what's so bohemian about an artist. A true colonial artisty place allows for all of its expression.
Yeah, because you can't, if you move people, like Tom and Tee, Tom is just, I don't know, I think Tom is kind of unemployed, but he's basically unemployed and drinks a lot, and Tee doesn't, maybe she does some working, I'm so sure, she still works. So you know better than me.
I'm a sex trade worker.
Sex trade worker, you still work. But the thing is that, you know, they're being kicked out of their bar. The bar that they have had all you've met for the wives of your children in this bar. So you have a long history in this bar. Your children weren't actually born in the bar, but you know, you've got all that. And that's a really important background. And then you've got this guy who lives up in Aberdeen area, where he lives, as you see in the movie. That's a secret at the end of the movie. Anyway, it's okay. But he lives up in Aberdeen, and he's the guy who runs the bar who's like saying, you gotta get out because I'm doing my fancy photo shoot. So, and then classing up the bar. So it's about that real conflict that we see in Hamilton. Because when you're on James Street, you still see these guys come up to you, and they're like a little bit lost to some of them or whatever. And it's part of the street life, but they're guys who used to, you know, own the street in a sense. And I think it's fine to have the trendy bars there, but they have to, you know, give these guys a drink too. They got money, let them have a drink.
Yeah, it's their bar. It's their local hang. So what happens to the watering hole when you take away the hole?
Yeah.
The hole is gone. It'd be like me as a sex trade worker. If I have no hole,
that's
I have
no
no
hole.
hole.
Go there, Ellie, we covered that. But no, I'm kidding. The general idea is that
ball sack.
Here we go. The idea is that the hole is gone, and that's part of actually. The thing is that what brings people there is like James Street is the character.
Yeah,
right.
For
and then they get there and they want to get rid of all the characters. Anyway, the characters are alive and well in. Now you haven't actually watched them because you're scared to see.
I'm scared.
But you shouldn't be. You do say some things that I didn't write. We know.
I don't know what you're saying.
Because that day I was kind of like, you talk a lot about his weenie.
Well,
and that's not.
It was like a Tourette's. I couldn't help it.
He just kept talking about his little tiny.
He's a little like a Tourette's.
She has a form of Tourette's from drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, there you go, and it's evident in the movie. But you're great in the movie, Ellie. The two of you, I'm so proud of this movie, and I hope that people like it. But it's kind of like this realistic film technique, or Andy Warhol in, where the camera kind of moves around and all that other stuff. But you really do get to see, I think, a couple who really loves each other, and a really sweet couple, even though they swear a lot, talk about weenies a lot.
Well, you know, because he wants to get in my pants, and she's a sex trade worker, and she's just like, don't fucking touch me. I want to get hammered and be left alone.
Exactly.
Well,
her terms, basically.
Well, he's already hammered. He's never not hammered, but
it's true.
It's right. So, but what I love in the film is that these become these kind of dampened heroes.
That's the idea.
You love them. They're dampened heroes. They're a bit soppy, but you go, they're just trying to find love, like everybody in the world. They're just trying to hang on to each other in the hole, in the darkness, right? And I think there's something so vibrantly supportive of all humanity in that, no matter what color it is, no matter what status it is, no matter what shape it is, size it is, gender it is, in this show, you know, they could be labeled as sort of the fallen, but even in the fallen, there's that desire to love one another, and the love that is there.
I think essentially, I don't mean to interrupt you, they're not unhappy people.
No.
Like, I mean, they're as unhappy as anybody.
No, that's a good point.
That's what I think, and they have a little conflict over the baby. We won't talk about that.
Don't talk about the baby.
A lot of the film. But yeah, and then there's the lips urine. So that's important because in Hamilton you had a lift urinal. It was in the men's washroom.
And T has peed in it.
It was in the. I saw it in the washroom at. It's a restaurant in Honest Lawyer.
The Honest
The
Lawyer.
restaurant chain, and they took it down probably because someone complained about the fact that there was a urinal that was made in
A woman's
the shape
mouth.
of a woman's made up mouth, and we resurrected that for our bar because I think it was an interesting Hamilton artifact. And said something about not only Hamilton, but all of us.
And they're still very big in Europe, apparently.
The lip urinal.
There we go.
That's what we found.
So European.
And
Well,
you'll
the honest lawyer.
only probably see it in Naked Hamilton.
Naked Hamilton. You know, and to get back to that whole thing about that you know, that allowing that humanity, that human part of them just wanting to live in the hole and that whole thing. I was thinking about that as well this morning and thinking, you know, it's that thing about as we know, because we all know people like that, and people that choose in a way they go there because they want life to stop. And the irony is that Nate and the rest of everything else that's going on is that it's actually about moving forward.
No, that's
because gentrification is just obviously something that we can't, you know, it's just a reality.
The fart is absolutely real, and this is how, in the moment, I thought I had to fart.
Still lingers.
And if it was T and Tom, she wouldn't be like, oh, I'm performing and I'm not going to fart.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm going to fart.
Yeah.
So I went, like I lifted my legs straight there.
Like, no, you farted. It was like, everyone!
But the best part of it all was, I didn't know where it was going to go from there and what it was going to do to, you know, my
And you guys kind of laughed, and then...
Well, you just looked at me and took it in, was like that fart, and then he goes,
Oh my God.
and he farted, and then we laughed. Like I thought you couldn't make it.
But then you
got it back. Somehow.
Yeah, you got back.
You got back.
But then what was interesting, this is where the director comes in.
Yeah.
Was that basically at that point, I said, it was over, and he came to me and says, Scott, I don't know if you use that tape.
Oh yeah,
No!
yeah.
Fart is bad. Because it was just so intimate, even if the audience doesn't realize that you farted, or that it's real, it was a real moment, and you both really laughed.
Yeah.
Like,
It was so
you were
real.
laughing at an actor.
Because I was like, we were so tired. It was like the end of the frigate. We were like, on the floor, in the piss and dirt and muck of that bar, on the floor, and I farted, and I thought, there's a metaphor. Let it out. Just let it
out,
out.
and now it's in the movie. It's the climax.
Forever. That's what horrifies me.
And I can say something
I'm
wonderful
sorry.
about working with you, which is, and this is
No,
the
you
direction
said
as well.
you didn't,
No, because you're a big part of it. Because you guys do have that rapport.
Yeah, we do.
It's almost like an unspoken rapport in a way, and what Ellie did with that part, which for me being on the other side of that, and on the other side of the fart, is, man, and I think it's there in the film because you really see it in those scenes. It keeps me present. Oh my God! Because with Ellie, you just never fucking knew what was going to come your way, including a fart. Right?
No, it's very true.
Every
And the way Ellie
never-
works is very much to be in the present all
To
the
be in the
time.
present all
That's
the
the way great actors work, is they have to
Oh,
be there
fuck.
now. And other people, sometimes other actors are phoning it in, or they're going, "This is what my performance is." But the fact that it's constantly being discovered and it's there in the real time.
But it's written, but it's also in the writing.
We need to
You write
congratulate
very
ourselves some
naturally.
more.
But I'm not kidding.
It's true. No,
Like I've done, I don't know, 18 of your shows. I don't even know. No, but at this,
It is 18.
a lot
I watched the
of
18.
shows, and
I think it was.
and you know, it's like where you go. This is. It scares a lot of actors because it's so and when I say repetitive, it's what makes it real. We you know, try and restate what we think we know. And if you're an alcoholic, you're
I get that a lot, and I do a lot of
It's
cutting.
brilliant.
But there are times when I don't know, but there are times that it has to be repetitive because I'm being repetitive and I'm stuttering and stammering and not saying words like right, see, and that's the way of life. So that's part of it. So when people learn lines
And
like
it's all
that.
perfect, you know, where you state your case,
I think
then
it
you're
could.
dictating it. Like you're actually, that's the narrative writer rather than the immediate writer that, you know, allows the performer to storytell from a place of like absolute truth and fartedness. Farting and farting.
It was nice to have Jason in there too. We should mention Jason.
Jason Cadieux.
Jason Cadieux plays the bartender Nate, and he's an old friend and an old acting compatriot of all of ours. And we were desperate for a Nate, and the last moment we went.
We wanted Jerry Arms. We wanted.
Yes, because it's all about arms. Because all you really see of Nate is his arms and his hands.
He's
It's sort of
hot,
a
though,
mysterious
but he's
thing.
cute, so we do see
Yes,
him.
but it's great that we've got him in there too. And it's great that we have all of those, we did a collage of all these pictures of all these bars in Hamilton and stuff. And you got a condom machine in the end, which I love. Well, and Gregory Bennett, who was our
Gregory
fabulous,
shooter,
who actually is making a long-term film in Hamilton and is very Hamilton-based cinematographer. He's doing a film about a long-time band in Hamilton whose name I can't
Simply
remember.
Saucer.
Simply Saucer. Right,
Simply Saucer.
yeah, Simply Saucer. So he's working on a documentary about that. So yeah, and I mean that's basically.
That's just you just gotta come.
It's fast. You are
Yeah,
gonna
please
love
do
it.
come see
It's
Naked
fun.
Hamilton. It's 40 minutes of
What?
crazy farting and fun. No, it's really a lot of fun.
It's fun and it's silly, and it opens with me sitting on a urinal and a man's passed out in the urinal.
On a man's urinal. She's sitting. That was her idea.
That was mine.
I went,
And I
okay,
did
you want to sit on a man's urinal?
And then I had a little
You
wet
go
spot on
ahead.
my underpants. Remember that? And I had my legs
You
over my
all
head, and
talk
I went
about-
on film. I went
You
wet
talk about
spot.
your wet spot. That's why I thought the place is called the wet
Come on,
spot.
the
I got
wet
all
spot.
confused.
It's not me, but it's fabulous.